Hey everybody, I'm back with this is going to be the first episode. So I wanted to talk about a very honest situation that happened in my life. I don't really talk about it much anymore, but I know a lot of people have problems with drinking alcohol. And I'm 45. I just turned 45, but I was probably one of the worst drunks. Well, in my mind, and I'm not going to exaggerate. I'm not going to, make stories up to make it seem like it was worse. I'm just going to tell you exactly how it was. But I'm not going to get too personal about it. I might do that later. Making these videos is kind of new, so I don't really know how far to go. But anyway, I'll just tell you how it went. You know, when I was in my 20s, 19, 20, I was kind of drinking like normal. It wasn't really a problem. It was kind of a problem, I guess, in the sense that, I was getting drunk, maybe too often, but it wasn't a problem like I wasn't missing work yet. I wasn't, doing things that were, I was doing things that were probably kind of stupid, but I wasn't doing things that were, um, you know, affecting my safety or, you know, um, like drinking and driving. I wasn't really doing any of that quite yet. That happened like towards like my early to mid 20s, like I'd say around 23, 24, 25. I remember those years like 2003 to 2005. I got a car, I was drinking. I remember drinking while driving. It was like a regular thing. It started to be a regular thing. I would literally take a few beers with me. Like I would take a drive, half hour drive to somebody's house on a Friday or Saturday or, Monday, it didn't matter. I would drink a couple of beers in the car on the way there. Like just because I could. So it started to get worse and worse. And then I think around like 25, 26, 27, it started getting really bad. That's when I was getting, I got a DUI in 2005. I got arrested and put in drunk tank for, overnight. And then 2007, I got a pullover again, got another DUI. And then I lost my license for like a while. I got a 3-year ban that time. Or was it a 2-year? It was 2 or 3 year ban. And then in Canada you have to take a drunk driving course, which is basically you got to pay to go to this class. Can't be late. If you're late, they cancel you and you have to pay again. Super strict. And then you got to take this class that lasts like I think it was like 6 weeks. Every Tuesday I was going for 3 hours, I believe, and then I had to get a machine in the car, interlock breathalyzer, and if you didn't blow and pass, the car wouldn't start. And then it would go off periodically while you were driving, and if you failed, you'd have to pull over, and then the car wouldn't start, or it would alert the monitoring company that was monitoring it, and then the police would be phoned. Yeah. And sometimes like if you like drank a Monster, like those energy drinks, sometimes it would trigger it, or mouthwash. I remember it would trigger it, and it would fail, and then this alarm would go off in the car, and then you would get a call from this place on your phone, and then they would lock out the device so you can't even attempt to do it anymore. And then you have to pay to get it unlocked. It was brutal. Hey, but I deserved it. So that happened, and then 2007, 8, and 9 were a complete write-off. I remember parts of it, but I was blacking out. I was doing the most outrageous shit it was bad. I mean, totally affecting my family. It got to a point there where I couldn't even really have friendships anymore. I mean, I would date somebody, they would find out what was going on, and they would disappear. I mean, I did have some good people that I met that were kind of tolerating me, but like not really. Uh, it was bad. It was so bad. I was having 2010 and 2009, I believe. Both of those years, I was having seizures. Like I was having seizures from not drinking enough because my body was addicted to it, and I would go to sleep and I would wake up, but I knew my eyes were open, but it was black, and I would be having a seizure. Pretty frightening. And then I was afraid to go to bed. Um, that was happening for many years. This was happening. I was throwing up in the every single morning, and this is when 2000. I was working for this car auto body shop doing detailing or something, but I got well known for just Friday would come along, I would get paid, and then I wouldn't really show up to work pretty much on a regular basis until Wednesday. Like they knew. Like I even stopped phoning in sick. And then it just all came down to after a while, I just couldn't hold a job anymore, so I just ended up doing these like useless construction jobs. I would work for a week, get fired, get some money, blow all that, get evicted. That became a regular basis all the time. Um, no money, getting evicted, getting hired, getting fired. It was horrible. I was stealing to eat. I remember I was shoplifting on a regular basis to feed myself. Yeah, it was pretty bad, And then I got into like I think we kind of had not a family intervention, but it was sort of like that. Um, I remember my mom was there, my dad was there, my sister was there, and they were kind of telling me like we met at some counselor's office, I think, in Vancouver, but basically just telling me like you know you're going nowhere, and if you don't stop you're gonna die and all this. It was not a good conversation. But so after that, I mean, I think I continued to drink for a bit, and then something happened. I think I got evicted or something, and then I actually called the AA number, Alcoholics Anonymous. I got the information from the computer and ended up going to some meetings, and meetings turned into more meetings, and then I stopped for a while. I think I stopped for a few months, and then those few months came into a year. I started a business, home maintenance business. I was doing really well, actually. Within 1 year, I went from almost being homeless, basically. I mean, some of those days I was sleeping on couches, and um, yeah, it was not good. But I went from that to starting a business, um, being successful doing it, having basically I remember the times when I started. I had too much work. I couldn't do it. So that was it was a great time, actually, because it was the first time I didn't really have any alcohol in me for since I was 20, 19. So all kinds of good stuff were happening. Got relationships back with my parents, and things were going really well. And then of course I stopped going to AA, and we're going to talk about AA and what I think about it, and what my experience was. But yeah, I had a pretty bad relapse after a year. I was hanging out with some people from AA, and I was actually in business with the guy that was from AA, and he fell off the wagon, then I fell off the wagon. Eventually I lost everything. I lost I had some trucks. I had a lot of equipment. I had a beautiful townhouse I was renting, 2-level townhouse. So I went from like a basement slum, just an absolute dump, to a very, very nice. It was actually where the Olympic medal athletes were staying in North Vancouver. They were staying in this. I was staying at that building, so it was like pretty nice, like luxury. I went from that to I slowly started, like I had some money saved, and I slowly blew all that money, and then I ended up moving into some absolute dump again. It was just horrible. So alcoholism is like, I see a trend happening, like with younger people, that they're kind of, it seems like there's this trend of people that are aware of it, and they're like, they're coming out with these new non-alcoholic drinks, which I drink. I drink these ones here. These are 0.5. Some people would say in AA, oh, you're drinking 0.5, you're not sober, but I've never lost a job off of that. I've never not waken up from that. So that's that's something else we can get into about what I believe in, all that. But yeah, there's a trend happening where people are really aware of it, and people want to get sober, or they want to have sober months, and I can see it. Like pubs have non-alcoholic draft beer now that actually tastes decent. So I can tell that it's definitely got some ground now, and people have some options if they don't want to drink, or it might be from people online. People are learning that, hey, you know what, this isn't good, but I mean it's good. It's just that there are still people that have a major problem with alcohol. I'm telling you, like it's in my family. We have major problems still, major problems, and I've tried to say things, and people have tried to say things to me. I never got it. I never really listened to anybody, and this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. I've been to multiple treatment centers for 40 days, 60 days, 90 days. No, it was 40 days, and then I did a 90-day, and then after that I went into like post recovery, which is like a kind of like a halfway house when you get out of jail, but it's for recovering addicts and alcoholics. And so then I spent another like 6 months in some recovery house with a bunch of other people in recovery, in Kelowna actually. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are still struggling. A lot of people in my family. Nothing you can really do. If they don't want to get help, there's nothing you can do. You can give them $50,000, and it doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter where you send them. If they don't want to get sober, they will. Maybe people will get forced to go, but they'll leave, or they'll get out and they'll start again. You got to get to a point where something has happened so terrible that you just get sick and tired of being broke and homeless or sick. I mean, I was sick every day. I was throwing up every morning. I would actually blow the blood vessels in my eyes and under my eyes from dry heaving. And I had to use Visine so my eyes were clear, because I would push all the blood. You get it, right? Not good. Like, I was throwing up in my bed, man. Like, it was... I think about it now, and it's like... I don't even know what I was thinking, But it was pretty embarrassing, too. Like, I was... Yeah, I definitely was not operating, like myself. And I remember I was having a hard time walking. Like, I would try to walk to the liquor store, but after 5-6 days of hard drink, like I was drinking 15, 20, maybe even a flat a day at the end there. Like, I was drinking a lot, and then I would drink hard bar with it, and wine and whatever I get my hands on. It was terrible. But I remember having trouble walking. Like, I would be so jittery and shaking in the morning that 8:50 I would wake up and I like had like 10 minutes. I was like, okay, it's gonna open at 9 a.m. I gotta get there, and I'd be trembling and trying to give the cash register, the lady there, all the change, and it was horrible, and trying to act normal. Yeah, but so anyway, I got off track there, but yeah, so we have problems in our family, but I've like really given up on trying to help them. I've said a few things of, it's sad, but you know what you got to do. It's like tough love. You just got to be like, because I mean, it's really hard for a person that had a major problem with drinking to hang around with people that are drinking still. So I've lost all of my friends pretty much, but some of them, like, I didn't lose them because they, were unwilling. I just kind of like, I think I made such a fool of myself for so long that even the people that I knew and I grew up with, I kind of figured that like they don't really want anything to do with me, and I was such in my mind like a bad light, for so long that I don't really feel comfortable around those people. Like, I'm doing well now. Like, I'm not gonna really get into all that right now, but I mean, nobody would recognize my life. All the things that I thought I ever wanted in life back then, that I used to remember crying about, like, just everybody around me, was buying houses, and they had nice cars, they had nice jobs, they were in university. I had none of that. I was kind of like left on my own at a really young age, and I didn't really have any guidance, so I didn't know what to do. I didn't. So I was kind of like envious, and it really kind of like didn't help with the situation, because, when I had a couple of drinks or whatever, or a case of drinks, I would forget about that. But I do remember like some embarrassing things that my friends would be like, you know what, man, you're not all there, man. You know what? I don't want to be around you anymore. I had that happen so many times. Just totally embarrassing myself, and I could tell like people were just not impressed. So like I just don't. I kind of want to just leave that life. I don't have tons of friends anymore. Very few people I talk to anymore. I know that's kind of how the world goes, but when you go through something like this, and it's really hard to mend those friendships. Even friends I knew since I was in elementary school, I just kind of like, yeah, I kind of feel like that it's like it was damaged so bad, and that it's not really repairable. Like, I have a couple of friends that I like grew up with that I've just completely disappeared, because they were all having their lives, and there was just me. So and even now that I'm like, I've accomplished a lot, like a shocking amount, that I would never even have dreamt of, that I would be in this position. But it doesn't really, like, I know that it can all be taken away. If I ever go down that road, it's already been taken away a few times on different levels. But so when people stop drinking and then they have friends that are drinking, there's a very common thing that people have to stay away from them. I tried doing that. I tried having girlfriends that were still drinking. I ended up relapsing. I've relapsed a lot. I haven't had a drink of anything since 2018 October. And even before that, that was only I think 4 or 5 days I was drinking. Something really stressful happened. I can't remember. But I drank for 4 or 5 days. And it wasn't a complete write-off, but I went through a whole bunch of I did some dumb shit. But before that, I was sober for another 3-4 years. So if you take that away, which you can't, but I've had a really long chunk of sobriety now. So 2018 till now, right? It's going to be 2025. That's a while. So I know what's going on. I know what it does. I know all the benefits, even though sometimes it's like I still think about it like, it's kind of boring being drunk. Like, I used to go fishing and drink. I used to go boating and drink. I used to go to the casino and drink. Like, I used to like sit around a fire and drink. Like, I mean, pretty much everything. So, and everything, it kind of made everything a little fun. I would say in the earlier days. At the later years, like, yeah, I guess you could still have a little, but it was more like a nightmare because you would have a few drinks, it would be all right, and then you would keep going, and then just you'd end up doing something ridiculous every night. I would lose my wallet, I would lose my phone, I'd lost my passport, I lost my SIM card. I think I lost my passport twice actually because I lost my license, so I didn't have any ID. So I went to buy booze and stuff. I had to bring my pass. I lost it twice, and I remember I got a letter from the government saying that they wanted to investigate like why I've lost it again or something. I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I mean, I couldn't get it for a while. I had to produce all these documents. I had to get my birth certificate sent from Ottawa, and yeah, it was, and that happened constantly. Like it was like almost every time I went out, I lost something. And so I lose my full wallet. I'm talking full of everything, and I have to go. Sometimes I got embarrassed at going to the bank so many times to get a new debit card. Like I was like, it was so bad. Like sometimes 4 or 5 times a month. That ain't normal, right? So all those things, I always am reminded. Hey, you wanna go back to that? And it's true. Like some people are just not meant to handle alcohol. They might be able to handle it when they're younger, and they might be, not smashing cars and getting arrested, but they are not functioning normally. So just because you have a job, just because you're making good money, but you're drinking every day, you're drinking in the morning, you got the shakes, you're not yourself. And it's surprising that when you stop, all these ideas start coming to you. Even though that you are making it through life and you're paying your bills, you have no idea what is in front of you when you stop, because it's like you're putting poison in your body every day. And people that have a few beers here and there, they might have a couple beers after. I mean, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about people that are, drinking a 10 beer a day or a 15 pack a night, or even, even just getting drunk you shouldn't be getting drunk every night. You shouldn't be. That's not good. You got to think about what you're drinking. What are the ingredients in what you're drinking? It's just, it's not normal. And you think it's normal, but it's not. It's not. But so anyway, I really wanted to do this video to talk about what I've been through, what it was like, what it's like now. Definitely life is a bit duller, like it's not as exciting, but I'm comparing it to my life before. But now, I mean, I wake up, I used to remember nothing. I remember I used to have to phone people and basically hint to them and like kind of ask in a weird way, like, so like, yeah, that was really fun last night. Like, yeah. And then and then eventually they'd be like, yeah, that blank bar was awesome. And then I remember I would piece together the night. And then the final question would be like, hey, what was the last pub we were at again? Because my car was there and I didn't know where my car was. I had no idea where my car was. And that was when it started getting, like, I literally woke up. I remember one morning I woke up to go to work with my keys in my hand. I went to outside my house or apartment, dump apartment. There was no car there. And I had absolutely no idea where it was. It was at a pub, like, 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive away from me. It was in some backed up, all backwards and on an angle in some weird position at some pub with the windows open. Like, what in the hell, right? That happened many times. Yeah. I mean, if you don't remember where you parked your car, like, what else are you not remembering? I mean, you could hit somebody, yeah, that's not good, man. So I ended up going to jail for a while at my like third DUI, and the judge is like, you're not going to take this seriously, so we're going to take away your freedom for a while. And I didn't even really. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you're going to jail. Oh, so I went to court for the DUI, and then I ended up not going home. I think I spent like, it wasn't wasn't very long. It was 7, 8 days or something. But I did a couple of those stints in jail. That woke me up. So, anyways, we can go on and on about this, but it's like, if you got a problem with drinking, I can talk to you about it. I can make more videos about this, but if you're waking up shaking, you got a problem. You got a problem. And I was around probably 40, I'd say 80 men for months and months that all had different levels of addiction issues, like, drinking, drugs. I didn't have the fentanyl thing back then, but they all had this common thing: drinking in the morning, shaking, DUIs, losing your wallet. I mean, all of us would tell our stories, right? So if you're in that boat, I would suggest, I'm not going to tell you right now that AA is like the number one thing you got to do. I mean, I personally, I got to be careful what I say here. AA is a great stepping stone for me. So this is my opinion for myself. This is not for you. No, I'm not telling you what to do or anything. I'm just saying, for me, it was great for a while. It got me friends. It got me a sponsor. I was surrounded with people that were also sober. But for me, there was a problem. They would just always talk about drinking, and it was like this kind of like constant story of everybody sharing about all their drinking days, and it kind of got like, it kind of was like triggering, it was like, guy was talking about, I remember this guy was always talking about how he missed fishing and drinking, and I'm like, like, yeah, I kind of miss that too. And then, I mean, maybe some people it doesn't affect, but there was just a couple people there, that were like, yeah, I kind of had enough of this. And it was that, and it was like I would develop friendships, and then they would fall off the wagon, and then I would fall off the wagon. So, like, I don't know. There's a real simple answer to stopping drinking. It's just like, it's real simple. It's like, I don't think you really need to go through all this, like, step one and step two for myself. For a time, yes, get to understand what you're doing, a community of people that don't drink, great. But it's really as simple as, okay, your life is shit. You're getting in trouble. You're losing stuff. Your friends don't want to be around you. You can't hold a job. You're unhealthy. What are you going to do about that? Okay, and if you've already tried to stop, and you've like, okay, I've managed to cut my drinking down. That's the first thing people do. Okay, I'm going to cut down. And then they do it for like 3 or 4 days, a week, and then they're back to where they were, getting drunk, losing stuff, getting fired. So it's like, do you want to continue that, or do you want to stop? So that's where I got. Like, I was getting into my 30s now. I'm like, do I want to have nothing forever and basically be homeless, or end up homeless? Because that's what's going to happen. So I kind of was like, okay, I stopped drinking. And then I started a company. I started doing really well. Like, I had boats and dirt bikes, and like I had multiple cars. I was doing really well in a short time. Because alcoholics have a lot of drive. They're very creative on how to make money, how to get the alcohol. So they take that mindset and they use it to start businesses, and they start or creating things, or being artistic, or so you're kind of ahead of the game, because your body's got this creative way of, how can I get more alcohol? How can I get this money? And you're constantly trying, and same with all addicts, drug addicts, they're all the same. They have this incredible drive, but it's for the wrong things. So when they quit, they use that drive for other things. And that's what I did. And that's what you can do. But, so you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to continue like this, and my whole life's going to be screwed. And it will be. When you're drinking at the levels I was, and a lot of people that are maybe watching this are, you ain't going to go anywhere. Because everything about alcohol is expensive. Pubs, just buying beer alone, it's super expensive. But most of the time you're doing things that are also expensive to do it, right? You're going to bars, you're going to pubs. I mean, I guess at the end of it, I wasn't doing that. I was just buying tons of booze and going home by myself. But if you add it up, 20, 30, 40, I was smoking too, $50 a day, that's extremely expensive habit. And that was back then. I'm sure it's more now. I don't even really know the cost of a 15 pack, but I think it's probably $35, $40 maybe. I wasn't buying the cheap beer either. I was buying kokanee was my poison. But yeah, so you got to just go, you know what? Do I want to keep doing this or do I want to not keep doing this? And I didn't want to keep doing it. So my advice is call your friends off. Get some friends that don't drink. I mean, now there's all these Facebook groups, and you don't have to do the AA thing if you don't want to, but you can contact people that don't drink. Maybe people that have got a couple of years. Maybe try AA, but there's a lot of ways to do it now. And I wouldn't date with people that are drinking. I mean, that's a really hard thing to do when you're first stopped. Like maybe once you get some time. Like my partner drinks wine once in a while. A bottle will last for a month, but my parents drink around me. I have some other people that are in my family that drink. Doesn't make me feel very comfortable, and I've kind of mentioned this, so I don't really go out of my way to see them. But I don't have a problem with it anymore. Like I can smell it, I can see it. I don't go, oh, you're gonna see it, I'm gonna run to the liquor store. I don't do that anymore. So, but I'm many, many, many years in. So when you first start, you gotta be very selfish. Quit drinking, put a plan together. What do I want to do? Do I want to start a business? You're going to have all this extra time. You're going to have all this extra money. Maybe it's going to be health first. Okay, I want to get my health back on track because I mean my liver was affected. I was totally malnourished because I was barely eating. I was eating like 7-Eleven stuff, and I remember I was eating Stag chili in the can. I would just buy them at 7-Eleven, and I was eating. It was just unbelievable. So you might want to get your health back first, and then form some friendships, and then go through some steps. But I think this video is probably long enough. Give you an idea of like what I've been through. But I've been through the pits of hell when it comes to drinking, and I was doing coke too. I was doing a lot of coke, mostly drinking. But when I had money. I'd come in with some money, I'd sell something, I would be doing both. It was not good. But there's a way out. And I have a great, great life now, and I would never want to go back to that. I mean, even just having your freedom and your memory and your health is worth it, right? So that is the episode today. I'm not sure what I'm going to name it, but it'll be interesting. So, thanks for listening, and if you have any questions or anything, just leave a comment and subscribe. All right, see you later.